Everyone, welcome to Bear's Touch Intuitive Tarot. Today we're going to do a reading for sign of Scorpio. It is August 1st today, and it is the full moon in Aquarius. It's a super moon, meaning it's the closest the moon gets to the earth. And it's a perfect day or rather night, for letting go, shedding the old, seeing the culmination of our manifestations, and then instead of manifesting for growth or bringing things into your life, manifesting what it is you want to let go of, entering a state of receptivity and reflection. So today I'm going to pull a couple of cards from the Universal Truths deck. I did a reading yesterday for Scorpio, and it did not come through on the voice recording for some reason. So you might be experiencing some kind of like vocal blockages. We'll pull an oracle card from the Universal Truths. Spirit, what would you like for us to know, the Scorpio collective? What would you like for the Scorpio collective to, that's a lot of cards, to know on this fine Tuesday? Please, Spirit, bring messages through for the sign of Scorpio. 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 Relationships are meant to be the divine union and fusion of like-minded souls. Meaningful relationships are based on higher truths rather than idle pleasures. A trustworthy relationship keeps our heart open because it is built on the common ground of goodness and genuineness. It is a deep understanding and mutual respect of differences. For an intimate relationship to be healthy, it must be built on the firm foundation of being good friends. The friendship needs to be unveiled and unfiltered, manifesting moral code, respect, and truth. This higher vibratory frequency then establishes a solid footing to call upon when things get rocky, as they inevitably will. Remember, relationship is connection, protection, rejection, direction, projection, affection, and every other kind of reflection. Wow, that's a really wonderful oracle card for a full moon. All kinds of reflection is what relationships are. So however you've been experiencing relationships, this card is asking you to look at the ways that you might be projecting. Look at what you see in others that seems different from yourself, and try to find how you're aligned with that and attracting that into your reality. How are you alike in ways that you wouldn't expect? What is it that you are rejecting in yourself that might indicate what it is you're rejecting? Rather, rejecting in others that might indicate what it is you're rejecting in yourself. Also, this card is indicating that if you've been looking for a romantic relationship, foundation. So romantic relationships, obviously, that aren't based in friendship are going to fall apart, and it's asking you to let go of any attachments to romance as you might see it, because I think quite often we get these ideas of what romance should be from television or books and classic stories, and what we end up discovering is that following those tropes ends up leaving us feeling a little bit disappointed, because we're not engaged in reality if that's how we're chasing a relationship. So take this time, this full moon, to give thanks for your friendships, for your relationships of all sorts, and to release any toxic behaviors, projections, assumptions that might be surrounding your relationships and creating difficulties there. Ooh, okay. This full moon's going to be a doozy. I feel like the energy today is a little bit heavy and sticky and staticky. I love these cards. This is the Soulflower Plant Spirit Oracle. So we'll pull one of these, maybe two. I like to think of these little dandelion seeds on the front of the card. It's kind of shiny. As wishes, as we wish and blow a breath of that wish onto a dandelion, it plants the seeds of that wish all over the place, and even without necessarily our nurturing, just a heart-centered, childlike wish-making. So Spirit, how can we embrace our childlike nature today? Ooh. What messages would you like to bring through with this Soulflower Oracle? There we go. Evening Primrose, interesting. Rebirth. Evening Primrose helps you to release old wounds and feelings of rejection, self-pity, and other heart-heavy issues you may have carried from birth or early childhood. She allows for a sort of spiritual rebirthing or birthing of your true self, so you can make room for more joy, fun, and playfulness in your life. Evening Primrose is also called it's associated with promiscuity somehow, but let's read the rest of Evening Primrose. I just think it was interesting because the first flower I ever drew for my herbalism study was Evening Primrose. Onothera biennis is the Latin name. There is an intelligence and order to nature, to the universe, that we as humans are always trying to manage and control, and yet we are consistently reminded that in truth this is not possible. There is no end to suffering. There is no end to joy. There is no end to dark. There is no end to light. There is no end to pain or love. There is no end to all that is. There's no end, just ever expanding consciousness. Round and round we go on the beautiful spiral of life. Arrive, learn, make mistakes, grow, new day, celebrate, rebirth, live, love, expand, release, renew. Rebirth, holy moly, deeper and deeper we go, wider and wider in spirals of understanding and awareness. We birth ourselves many times over in the course of a lifetime. Rebirthing is the process of birthing our authentic self, and in order to do this, we have to be willing to be brutally honest with ourselves. We have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Vulnerability supports and nourishes self-reflection and will allow us to recognize and then let go of labels, stories, beliefs, conditioning, and so on that no longer define us. A spiritual rebirthing. As we shed layers of what we are not, we come closer to understanding who we are. We go through this process over and over in our lives, coming to deeper and deeper understandings of who we truly are and our place in this glorious universe. Vulnerability will expose our weaknesses too, so that we have to learn to ask for help when we need it. Do not forget the physical vulnerability of just being human, flesh and blood, a fragile living organism that can expire at any time. Evening Primrose reminds us that allowing ourselves to be vulnerable is where we will discover and find acceptance of the divine beauty, purpose, and perfection of all things, including ourselves, even in the things we find ugly, repulsive, or evil. Perfectionism and vulnerability are definitely not compatible. The birthing process is painful, messy, uncomfortable, and imperfect, but it is exquisitely beautiful at the same time. The truth of this is reflected everywhere in nature. When we choose to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we can create ourselves anew, moment by moment, every single day. What are you bringing to light in this moment? The affirmation for this card is, I allow myself to be vulnerable and explore each new moment with curiosity and fresh eyes. Wow, thank you, Lisa Estabrook. Wonderful. So relationship in combination with evening primrose, I think, is again telling us like to let go of our expectations in relationships, communicate, be open with people, especially as Scorpios. I think we have like a notorious like reputation for being closed off and mysterious, and there's no better time to let go of those prickly, stingy, to imagine yourself like the scorpion in the phase of molting, like letting go of your hard exterior exoskeleton. So let's clarify with the tarot. This moon is like a good moon for, I think a lot of you have probably done shadow work, like quite a lot of shadow work this year, and I think this moon is about letting go and really getting into like self-forgiveness and opening up to productivity and opening up to being more in the moment. I'm studying yoga to be a yoga teacher, and the state of enlightenment that I was just reading about is being directly in the moment with no, like, your thoughts don't follow your mental fluctuations. You're here now, you're here now, you're here now. And that is considered oneness with the divine. And this evening primrose section on how everything is now, joy never ends, suffering never ends, pain never ends, all exists all at once. That is the concept of enlightenment and divine union with the divine. We can access those states of being by being present, and in the present, when you're fully present, there is no past or future, so it's just now, and all things exist in the now. All right, Spirit, please show us the energies of this full moon for Scorpio. Bring us into the energies of this full moon for Scorpio. Super patient. You might be working on bringing patience and stillness into your life. Again, letting go of that idea of productivity. I feel like tension and frustration and a desire to like move forward, like Rajas energy, and the Tamas energy of like slowing down behind that, and just trying to balance those, bring them into balance. You might be needing to do some breath work. Okay, here we go. Spirit, what does Scorpio need to know? This one wanted to pop out. All right, so two of Wands reverse. For some reason that I don't ever like. Ooh, okay, like that card. Judgment reversed. Temperance reversed. And the Six of Wands, a message. For Scorpio. Oh gosh, okay, well, two more, we'll take them. Queen of Pentacles reversed at the end. Okay, so intuitively what I'm receiving here is that, especially in connection to your relationships, you may have been in a position where you had the world in your hands and it was not what you thought it was. Kind of relating again to the relationship card. Maybe you were in a relationship that on paper looked really good, and in your experience of it, your physical, soulful experience of it, it wasn't what you expected at all. And maybe it turned your world upside down to leave. There's 2 wands here, and they can represent moving through to another like phase if the card is reversed. Usually if it's upright, it represents like standing still. You have the world in your hands and you're sort of missing out on being in the world. But this says that you sort of took your power back, your world into your hands, and moved on from whatever this partnership was to you. You may have felt judged. You may have judged harshly. Felt the horn of judgment brought down upon you by spirit. It's possible that spirit made a judgment call and interjected into your relationship or into your life, whatever it was that this 2 of Wands, like this man holding the world, indicates to you. Me is that, especially men in the tarot, as far as our archetypal consciousness goes, it's like your divine masculine, like your rational, personal, like judgment, like what you know about society or what society has taught you and how you function in the world. That's what your preconditioning essentially brought you to this place of like feeling like you had the world in your hands on a rational level, and then intuitively feeling like you can't tolerate that anymore. And so this judgment, yeah, all I can think is that it came from spirit. There's 2 10s here, card 20, and this rune in the rune system means partnership. So this specifically is speaking to me about a partnership. Whatever partnership you are in, it might be a business partnership, a romantic partnership, or some kind of friendship, but something in the recent past tells me that old and decaying, dead and decaying, something unconscious about it, and the horn was blown to raise the dead from their graves. This card also, the Day of Judgment, is about that evening primrose rebirth energy. It is literally like calling for people to be in the now, because in the now, without the concept of past, present, or future, you're simply existing, and that's kind of where all things exist, without end, right? They just are. So the Judgment card indicates that you're in trouble just being in the present. You have some sort of expectation of the future or some sort of conditioning about the past that you're trying to let go of. Music might help. Getting it off your chest might help, like being able to verbalize either to a therapist or I don't know if you do like spoken word poetry or like podcasts, like something just to vocalize. You don't want to like unload your problems onto people necessarily, but to allow you to process in whatever way is good for you, and good for others. Hopefully we don't want to incur bad karma. That when you do unload whatever it is verbally, if you do so for yourself. Forgive others for your own peace. That's there. Interesting. You may also, this card, something stands out to me about this card is that there's one woman and many men. And you may also be a woman who's experienced like judgments from patriarchal conditioning, either internally or externally or both. And forgiveness is the word that comes into my mind for that. Cool. Moving on. So the 6 of Wands is the messenger. Excuse me. of Jonah, the messenger of God, who, like, I watched a VeggieTales Jonah with my son recently. He, like, rides into different towns bringing the messages of God, and he doesn't want to go to Nineveh because Nineveh is full of, like, rapscallions and scallywags, and he runs from his duty to, like, bring the message to Nineveh, and in doing so he ends up in the belly of a whale in an ocean. Basically, the point being that sometimes we run into these, like, things we don't want to do, and running from them creates problems that are maybe even larger, like, especially in the laws of manifestation, from what I understand regarding, like, our unconscious or subconscious, like, fears. The only way out is through. So if you want to manifest something and it hasn't been manifesting in your life, or you want to manifest something and you find that every time you try there's just difficulties, those difficulties are the building blocks to your new manifestation. So this card, the Six of Wands, indicates to me a message coming in, being brought by somebody who is here. It's also, he's wearing a laurel wreath, which is indicative of victory and completion. The wreath on the World card exists here. So a message is coming in to complete a cycle for you, and this cycle very well may be related to manifestations that you feel haven't been manifesting. And this may occur today. This is a reading for the full moon in Aquarius for Scorpio today. So whether that message is physical, something in the mail, or divine, something that comes through in your meditations today, or as a spark, write it down if you get a chance and bring it into your heart space for healing. That's what I'm getting here. Temperance reversed in the near future tells me that it's possible that this energy of the waning moon following this full moon is going to have you feeling impatient for your manifestations. It's possible this message allows you to understand exactly how things are going to work for you. And the Temperance card coming in reverse is like you're getting excited. So if this is the Tamas energy, judgment, this is the Rajas energy, excitement, like movement. And keeping things to yourself, but what I'm hearing is to keep them to yourself, not because you don't want to share an excitement with others, but because the energy that we hold and can contain is energy that we can put forth towards those manifestations. And not because you want to keep energy from others, but because whatever inspiration you've gained to manifest strength is what it's looking like to me. Is your energy. This Temperance card in reverse is telling me that you're learning where to put your energy and where to hold your boundaries. And that may feel very uncomfortable at first. You may, again, also be very vulnerable in relationships with others, and this might help to achieve your manifestations, to work with others, but this vulnerability will feel uncomfortable at first. But you will have the strength to be vulnerable, to cooperate with others, to let go of any hardships or that were affecting your relationships. And one thing that comes through as well is this might be your relationship with yourself and your self-worth that's really being highlighted during this full moon. it's so easy to think that our relationships with others are going to fix our condition, our conditions, or like reaching out to others is going to help us feel better. And while those things are always good to have, like outlets and relationships with others, and while we can always offer gratitude for them, sometimes it's a little difficult to remember to give ourselves doubt and to give ourselves this temperance energy. Like, stop pushing yourself so hard, stop trying to like make things happen. Stop, like, if you're viewing yourself through this inner child lens, what these cards are indicating is that the inner child, at least to me, the inner child lives in the moment. And think back to like when you were a kid, like, and you were playing outside, playing your games with your friends, and then it was time to go to class or whatever, and maybe you didn't want to go to class, but you went to class, and then you found some way to like entertain yourself through class, or play some game, or footsies under the table, whatever it is. Kids are always sort of in the moment, and they're not too focused on the future, not too focused on the past. But I notice as an adult sometimes, like, I'll get so caught up in whatever it is I'm trying to do that the weight of the future or the weight of the past is actually like holding me down from being able to like actually be productive. So these cards together reversed are telling me that energy towards yourself, whether perceived as from coming from others or coming from within. Again, our relationships with others are mirrors or projections often, is your manifestations, because perhaps you feel like you're not enough, just as you are as a human being. Back to this evening primrose card, you are enough. And maybe that is your mantra for today. I am enough as I am. I am divine. I am perfect. I am whole. I am human. I'm made in his or her image, whatever their image, like whatever your preferred or religious leanings are. Have the strength to undo this conditioning, and it's going to come through a message, maybe this message. As you're closing out energy, strength is got this woman with an infinity symbol over her head. So she is perfectly in the moment. She is neither in the past nor the future. All things are possible for her in this moment now. And she is connecting with this lion on that divine natural soul level, knowing all things are interconnected. And she puts her hand in the lion's mouth, and the lion submits. This is strength in being vulnerable. This card is literally the strength of vulnerability. This is the perfect card to wrap up this reading. It's made of flowers, so you might want to get out and connect with the natural world. And her willpower comes from gentility, so be gentle with yourself. Let go of your inner tyrant today. Reflect on the of others and from yourself onto others, and let those go. Allow yourself to see clearly so that we can be in healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Welcome in this rebirth. I will pull one last card. I think because of the energy today, we want to do the inner child cards. Inner child cards. Spirit, give us one last card to close out this message. Okay, two last cards. So these cards, I don't read reversals. Oh, great. That's awesome. Okay. So we have card 16. I'm going to read from the book for this card. Rapunzel. I'll show this to you a little bit closer. This is my oldest tarot card deck by Isha Lerner and Mark Lerner, illustrated by Christopher Guilfoyle. Inner Child cards, a fairy tale deck. And this is the Rapunzel card. The lightning-struck tower, has always been the central image for the 16th card of the major arcana. So there's your card, Scorpio. Over the centuries, it has been designed with male and female figures falling from the top of the tower walls. This symbol portrays the purging of ego-centered consciousness and the recognition that material foundations cannot be the basis for spiritual life. There is hearkening to this Two of Wands reversed. Humanity can erect a Tower of Babel, elegant buildings, and shimmering skyscrapers, but humility must accompany our greatest efforts and achievements. As we reach towards the heavens, the fairy tale Rapunzel represents the tower in the inner child cards. Yeah. In the story, a couple prays for a child. The woman's wish is granted, and while she's pregnant, she sees a beautiful garden over her fence. She asks her husband to take some of the greenery that grows there. However, it turns out that the garden belongs to an enchantress, and the husband is caught stealing herbs. The enchantress tells him that in order to live, he must promise her his daughter. Hastily, he agrees, abandoning common sense for the love of his wife. The daughter is named Rapunzel, and at age 12, the onset of puberty, she is taken away by the enchantress. She is locked into a tower that has no steps. Besides her beauty, she has a wonderful singing voice and a long golden braid. Rapunzel has never seen a man other than her father, and one day a prince traveling in the woods hears her sing and watches as the enchantress calls, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." So the prince, basically, he pretends to be the woman and asks, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And when the enchantress finds out that Rapunzel has been visited by the prince, who frightens her at first, but like she comes to be wooed by his gentle voice and sensitive manner, it says, the enchantress cuts off her braid and abandons the young girl in a desert. When the prince returns, the enchantress takes Rapunzel's place in the tower, puts the braid down, and as he climbs up, she cuts the braid, causing the prince to fall into brambles and lose his sight. While wandering around blind, he meets Rapunzel in the desert. Her tears of joy heal his vision, and they live happily ever after together with their twin children, a boy and a girl. Traditionally, this card has been affiliated with the planet Mars. The fairy tale focuses on ego-oriented issues. Hair is a manifestation of ego. It's also in native traditions a symbol of our power. Her long hair is connected with the unfoldment of ego-centered consciousness, and the new life in the desert is the experience where she gives birth, symbolizing her initiation into greater existence. The blinded prince symbolizes the need to stop our active pursuits to avoid becoming dependent on our outer senses. That's these two cards as well, Temperance reversed and the Queen of Pentacles. You might be forcing yourself to be active when it's time to rest. Be gentle with yourself. When this card appears in your reading, be prepared for transformative experiences. Yes, Scorpio, that is our job. A sudden mental breakthrough, this message. A sudden mental breakthrough can help release you from personality attachments and limitations, just as Rapunzel's beautiful golden braid was chopped off by the enchantress in order to banish her from her loving prince, or her active will. So is your ego consciousness being refined and changed. It is time to cut away the strands of the past that connect you to old karma and worn-out patterns and emerge into the purity and clarity of a revived future. All right, so the tower ruled by Mars. Mars asks you to think back to a time, maybe even when you were 12, because of the number 12 being mentioned in this story when Rapunzel is taken away. Maybe you were 12, maybe you were 16, sometime in your your puberty years, between those ages, something happened to bring you into a state of needing to pursue something for your ego fulfillment. Something happened to make you feel like you weren't enough, which is, that's so awkward. And those scars stick with us in the establishment of our ego. Our prefrontal cortex like dumps a bunch of information from our childhood not related to what our ego or sympathetic nervous system or parasympathetic nervous system basically divines as necessary for our survival and our evolution. So whatever you were taught wasn't necessary for your survival, and whatever you were sort of forced to let go of, this card is telling me that the roots of that judgment, that self-judgment, that inner judgment, that external judgment, those roots have been torn down, and it's coming through to you, as this card mentioned specifically, a mental insight. So this may very well be just a flash of inspiration, like these lightning bolts in the back. I really encourage you to get out and just give gratitude to the moon tonight. Perhaps she'll send you a message. And then the Three of Hearts, or the Three of Cups, I'm just going to briefly read this one. There are three mermaids celebrating with music. Rather, two mermaids and a merman. Goddess worshippers claimed that the creation of the universe stemmed from the mysterious rhythm and magic dance of the deep waters. Eastern mystics said that the true self, identical to the eternal dancing deity, resides in the cave of the heart. This connection between the heart and the higher self is an important facet in the evolving flow and harmony of life. In this card, a happy clam sends up bubbles of laughter as a buried treasure chest containing vast riches and jewels rests unopened. Two joyous sea beings frolic to the magical sounds emanating from a shell harp played by a third sea being, a mermaid. Tantric tradition calls rhythm the sound of power, or the heartbeat of the absolute. This beating sound is perceptible when one plunges into the depths of consciousness. The Three of Hearts is a jubilant call, arousing in you the spirit of play, imagination, and eternal friendship. As you discover the little child who resides in your heart, let your feelings bubble up. Let this child know how much it is loved and cherished. Honor the intimate dance that you and this child share. Some tears of joy may flow. This card may also signify a celebration or party. The number 3 symbolizes the coming together of friends and family. Awesome. That's a great card to end this reading. So, yeah, let your inner child out. Listen to music, sing, dance. If you're invited to go somewhere, go, be vulnerable, let yourself be human, and let that be enough. And even if you can't dance, maybe, doing dishes or something, like just ease into it, but let your inner child be healed. Do a meditation today where you recall this moment, perhaps between 12 and 16, whatever you experienced. And if no one was there for you, as that inner child, and then imagine yourself as an adult being there for that inner child, and spend some time in that meditation until that inner child gets the love and attention that they need. Teal Swan has a wonderful meditation on this. It's called emotional body healing, and being there for your inner child is sometimes all we can do, because the external reality can't always meet our internal needs. But this reading encourages you and assures you that you have the strength to do this for yourself, and that you also don't need to do it by yourself. Other people are there to support you however you need at this time. So I hope this reading was helpful to someone. All right, love you guys. Happy full moon. Bye.